They say every city hides at least one place people don't talk about, a place that doesn't show up on official maps, a place that sits there, quietly rotting, while stories pile up around it like weeds. For this city, that place is known only as the Mannequin House. From the street, it looks like any other abandoned home. The lawn is overgrown, the shutters hang crooked, and the paint peels in wide gray strips. If you drove by without knowing, you'd think it was just another foreclosure, another casualty of time. But those who've been inside, they tell a different story. The house sits at the very end of a cul-de-sac, surrounded by other homes that were once full of families. But unlike its neighbors, this one never sold, never flipped, never gutted for renovation. The story goes that after the last owners disappeared sometime in the late 1990s, the property changed hands briefly before going into legal limbo. It was left untouched. Or at least, untouched by anyone who came back out. Local kids dared each other to go inside for years. Most wouldn't even make it to the porch. Something about the windows, they said. The way it felt like something was peeking out at you, even though the glass was coated with grime. A few teenagers who went further told stories of hearing footsteps upstairs, or the faint scrape of something dragging across the floor. But none of those stories ever compared to what happened on the 4th of July a few summers ago, when a group of urban explorers live-streamed their night inside. That's when the legend of the Mannequin House truly began. The explorers were 4 friends in their 20s, all known online for poking around abandoned buildings, factories, schools, even a shut-down prison. Nothing scared them. The Mannequin House was just the next challenge. They thought they'd film a spooky walkthrough, make fun of a few cobwebs, maybe catch some creaks and groans of an old house on camera. They didn't know what they were walking into. The stream started just before midnight. Fireworks popped faintly in the background as they approached the property. The house loomed at the end of the cul-de-sac like a bad memory everyone had tried to forget. One of them joked that it looked like the kind of place you'd find an old witch hiding out. Another laughed, saying they should have brought candy for the mannequins. The chat lit up with laughing emojis. When they opened the front door, the first thing they noticed was the smell. It wasn't rot exactly, but a stale, chemical tang that clung to the air, like a thrift store basement that hadn't been opened in decades. Their flashlights cut through the dust, and that's when the viewers saw it too. Mannequins, everywhere. Not the glossy department store kind either. These looked custom, handmade. Some were porcelain, some plaster, some fiberglass patched with paint. They wore old clothing, dresses from the 50s, flannel shirts, even a child's pajamas with faded cartoon characters. The mannequins weren't just dumped in a pile. They were arranged. In the living room, a family sat at a table with yellowed plates and dusty cups in front of them, as if frozen mid-meal. In the den, mannequins lounged on a couch facing a blank, dead television. Upstairs, one leaned over a vanity, its wig of long black hair tied neatly with a ribbon. Every room told a scene. It was like walking into a house full of people who had turned to stone. At first, the explorers laughed it off. Creepy, sure, but just some eccentric collector who must have filled the place before moving out. They joked with the chat, made up voices for the mannequins, tapped on their heads to show they were hollow. But the longer they filmed, the less funny it felt. Viewers began pointing out things in the stream. A mannequin that seemed to be facing a different direction when the camera panned back. Shadows that didn't line up with the flashlight beams. One user swore they saw a hand twitch in the corner of the screen. The explorers brushed it off, blaming bad angles and poor lighting. But as the night dragged on, the atmosphere shifted. Their laughter grew quieter. Their footsteps echoed louder. And somewhere between the fireworks outside and the static of the stream, viewers noticed something strange. Faint clicking sounds, like teeth clattering together. None of the explorers seemed to hear it. At around 1 a.m., they went upstairs. That's when the mood on the stream changed completely. The hallway was lined with mannequins on either side, standing shoulder to shoulder like an audience waiting for a performance. The explorers moved past them, nervous now, trying to keep up the banter for the camera. One of them swore under his breath that he felt air moving, like someone had just walked past him. Another muttered that he didn't like the way the glass eyes caught the light. The chat exploded when, halfway down the hall, the camera jolted. A mannequin that had been leaning against the wall seconds earlier now stood in the center of the hallway, blocking their path. None of the explorers acknowledged moving it. None of them even laughed this time. The one holding the camera whispered, "That wasn't there." Viewers begged them to leave, spamming the chat with warnings. But they pressed on, stubborn or maybe too scared to admit they were spooked. They entered what must have been the master bedroom. Inside, mannequins were arranged in a circle around the bed, all facing inward, as though keeping vigil over someone who wasn't there. The clicking sound was louder now. It seemed to be coming from the mannequins themselves, though none of their plaster jaws moved. The explorers whispered frantically to each other, asking if anyone else heard it. The camera shook as the one filming tried to focus. For a split second, one mannequin's glass eye caught the flashlight just right and seemed to glint with wetness, like a real eye. The stream cut in and out with static. When it came back, the group was back downstairs, panicked, whispering about leaving. One of them kept insisting that the mannequins had turned their heads. Another said he saw one at the top of the stairs that hadn't been there before. The chat pleaded with them to get out. And then, the last words caught on the stream were whispered by a trembling voice. "Did that one just blink?" The feed went dark. By morning, the house stood quiet again. Neighbors said they heard nothing unusual that night. No screams, no footsteps, just the muffled boom of fireworks in the distance. But when police entered the house days later, they found the explorers' equipment neatly stacked on the dining room table. Phones, cameras, even their backpacks, arranged like an offering in front of the mannequin family. There was no sign of the explorers themselves. The stream archive vanished soon after, pulled offline without explanation. Those who watched it live still swear they know what they saw. Some claim they recorded clips before it was deleted, though no verified footage has ever surfaced. The Mannequin House sits untouched to this day, its windows dark, its doors locked, waiting. Local legend says if you drive past late at night, you might catch a glimpse of figures standing in the windows. Not mannequins, but shapes moving as if shifting into place, waiting for someone to step inside again. And if you roll down your window, you just might hear it, that faint, deliberate clicking, like porcelain teeth grinding together. And the strangest part, no one knows who put the mannequins there in the first place. No official records show the house belonging to an artist or a collector, or anyone with reason to fill it with such lifelike figures. It's as if they appeared on their own. Some say the mannequins aren't mannequins at all, that they were once the missing people from the neighborhood, families, visitors, explorers, frozen and hollowed out, arranged like dolls. A collection that grows whenever someone stays too long. Whatever the truth is, the Mannequin House remains one of the city's darkest secrets. And if you ever find yourself on that forgotten cul-de-sac, staring at that peeling gray house with the empty windows, remember this: the mannequins only look still. They're waiting for you to blink.